Welcome back, shooting stars. Today we're going to talk about all the mistakes I made as a beginner witch. In the beginning of my spiritual journey, I honestly didn't have a clue. I really didn't know anything at all, and it showed. I was finding a lot of information on TikTok, which some of the information was helpful, and I started to finally understand why the favorite person that I watched on there was constantly posting protection candles and protection magic, because that was important. And I started doing things without having protections up, without protecting myself, without cleansing my house properly. Like, I didn't do the prep work before I started diving into different things, bringing things into my house. So if you are on your spiritual journey and you're just beginning, this is absolutely a great video for you to watch. I'm going to deep dive into 10 reasons that you should watch this video, because 10 mistakes I made that I would rather you skip that step and not make these mistakes that I did. Number one, I did not prep my house properly when I started to open up to spirituality. I should have banished whatever low vibrational energy was in my house, any type of mischievous spirits. I should have gave myself a clean slate to start working with, and I didn't do that. I honestly didn't know what banishing was. I thought that if you lit an incense that you were cleansing, and magically you were just good because there was an incense going. I didn't know that you needed to actually clean your house physically, then go ahead and banish any nasty stagnant energy left behind, and then continue to cleanse the house and then protect the house. So I have learned to do that now, and I also talk about it a lot on my social media. You might remember this video. And again, I'm just always reiterating the banish, cleanse, protect, because it's literally crucial. It's so important. So if you hear it all the time, don't be annoyed, be inspired, because it's so necessary. You will thank all of the people like me putting that out there. In addition to cleansing my space, I did not understand the importance of cleansing myself. So now, like, my shower is a ritual. It is a cleansing ritual every time I'm in the shower. I don't care if I'm in a hurry or not. I am setting my intentions, and I am utilizing my shower to cleanse myself, because this is a crucial part of spiritual hygiene, is keeping your body cleansed, keeping yourself cleansed of energies that have latched onto you, or just stagnant energy from not, bathing. Your hair attracts a lot of energy, and it holds a lot of energy. So specifically, I always am focusing on my crown chakra and my hair. And there's just a lot of steps when it comes to being a spiritual person who practices witchcraft. You have a lot of responsibilities. It's going to up the ante a little bit in your own self-care, which is why we talk about self-love so much. But I digress. I figured out that having some sort of protection jewelry on me at all times is important. I discovered that making sure that I call back my power every morning when I wake up. I do that all the time. It's even in my Finch app, because I literally will not start my day until I've called my power back. It's like that serious. That's a non-negotiable for the day. I have seen a video of me putting together a little morning drink for myself where I set my intentions. I also spell that, which is another form of protection for me. There's literally so many layers of protection, and that's like one of the biggest things that I did not understand as a beginner witch. So it was, one candle that I did, or one mix of my drink that I did, and I was like, oh, I'm good. I did protection. Check that off the list. No. layer your protection, okay? There should be multiple layers of protection. That is how you build yourself a sturdy foundation to keep your energy, your space, yourself preserved in protection, as opposed to wards, which we'll move into next. When I first started my spiritual journey, I had no idea what words were. I would hear the term and I really didn't understand what people were talking about until I started to look up some tutorials. And this book is a great book. This book is also a great book for warding yourself, doing extra protection magic, defensive magic. That is where I would start, because these are going to give you the tools that you need to build these wards and make them effective for you. Now, wards are basically diversions of your energy, so that if somebody were to send you any sort of evil eye or a malicious intent, a hex, a jinx, a curse, yada yada, they would most likely hit your ward if done properly instead of actually hitting you. This is great to do for children and pets as well, because we want to keep everybody protected, because some people, they don't have limits, okay? They don't. So layering that protection also, you know, just having one thing set in stone is not really enough. I do have a video about protection if you guys want to check that out and get some ideas of how you can go ahead and layer your protection. You can get very, very creative with your wards. It's very much in plain sight, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want somebody to see it coming. You want them to approach it like it's just a regular old doormat, right? But there's black salt under there, and there's a little kick just in case you're trying to FO. You know what I'm saying? So wards also should be layered as well, and I can make a more in-depth video about warding if you would like. Just go ahead and let me know in the comments. So this one, I feel like a lot of people do this, and it's okay. I feel like it's just like a rookie mistake when it comes to witchcraft. But if you choose to learn tarot as your form of divination, you need to start with a deck that either is the Rider-Waite deck or resembles the Rider-Waite deck and gives you those basic symbols, themes, colors, all of that stuff, in order for you to really dive deep into understanding all of the different various interpretations of tarot. I made the mistake of buying this as my first tarot deck. You already know I bought it because there's a cat on it. Like, you already know. I love this deck. I still have trouble reading it, to be perfectly honest with you. I'll show you a couple of the cards and you can kind of figure out why. So, okay, this is a 5 of Cups. It's literally just 5 cups. Like, there's nothing going on here. There's 5 cups. Some of them aren't even tipped over, like in the normal Rider-Waite deck, right? 8 of Wands, yeah. The Chariot. Okay, you get the idea. You get the idea, okay? So, yes, these are very cute. They are very cute. I love them. I love all the animal themes, but there's literally nothing to go off of. So the Rider-Waite is going to have a bunch of different little things going on. There's layers to the card because it has a lot of storytelling in the illustrations. These do not. These do not. So I do love this deck. I still use this deck, but again, it's more pulling on my intuition using this deck because you're really not getting anything from those cards other than cute pictures. Once I realized I had made that mistake, I went and got the Modern Witch Tarot deck. This is a more modern version of the Rider-Waite, so it has a lot of similar symbolism, but more updated. So let me just see, like, okay, the Judgment card, that's pretty similar to the original illustrations. Queen of Pentacles. She could potentially be pregnant in this picture, which is accurate. That can be a symbol of pregnancy. And where she's holding the pentacle, that's kind of, you know, like something new coming in kind of situation, right? So similarities, but not the same. And so like the Hermit card, she's closing her computer, she's retreating, she's getting away from social media. But you see what I mean? There's more relatable imagery going on in this deck, but it still represents similar meanings and gives you that storytelling element where you can kind of look at this picture and figure out what it means without actually having the keywords. I don't use this deck very often because I wrote the keywords on the back of the cards when I was first learning. Somebody told me to do that. And again, a mistake. I wish I didn't do that because I feel guilty every time I use this deck with clients who are like, she doesn't know how to read tarot. She got the words right there. Like, that's an insecurity of mine. In addition to purchasing a tarot deck that I obviously wasn't able to read and it was hard to learn on, I also did not understand how to tap in properly, make sure that I was protected. I did not understand the divination etiquette, let's put it that way. I can go into that in more detail if you would like in a different video, but essentially you having the discernment to know who you are communicating with and setting boundaries to only allow certain people on your team to come in and speak to you. You're not just calling out to spirit when you start asking questions through divination, because spirit could be just any old spirit, right? You need to be specific about who exactly you are talking to. So again, that's a whole different deep dive. The next mistake that I made was being too trusting and very impressionable, and that made me vulnerable when I was trying to learn about witchcraft. I know that learning things on the internet is just the way that we do things. It's just how we're programmed now. But I did grow up in the age where you went to the library and you got the book and you actually like studied. So I understand that is what I need to do when it comes to witchcraft, which is what I do now. However, when you are trying to socialize and build community and find people that like what you like, that can be a little bit more difficult, especially where you can be like, hi, my name is Rachel and I'm a witch. I'm not really doing that at Aldi. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we naturally gravitate towards being online, witch talk, TikTok, right? So I'm just going to say this, that use your discernment. Just because somebody's reading tarot cards doesn't mean that you need to get a reading with them, because you are now giving them permission to tap into your energy, which now they have access to with your consent. And it doesn't just end there when your tarot reading's done, if you know what I'm saying. I also want you to understand that some people will try to take people who are very impressionable in the spiritual community to boost their own egos, and it's up to you to decide the type of people that you want to surround yourself with. But if you are just getting started, it's really, really easy for people to convince you of things because you just don't know, and they know that you don't. So do your own research, be your own advocate, make sure that you're going into this for the right reasons, and it's not because it's trendy or it looks cool. It's because it's something that actually pulls at your heart, because this is a lot of work. Okay, being witch is not easy, and it's not always fun and cute. Okay, and when you're in a space where you're taking in a lot of information from a lot of different people, not everybody agrees, that's when you need to realize that you get to decide. You get to decide what is what works for you, how you want to do it. And that's a beauty in all of this. I would love to see people be more accepting of everyone doing their own thing and stop arguing about who's right and who's wrong, because it really takes the magic out of the community, which is what we're supposed to be doing here. But I digress. This next mistake is something I'm still working on, but sharing everything. Sharing your practice, sharing what you're doing, sharing what you're seeing, what you're hearing. When you start to develop your gifts, you're going to get downloads, you're going to start feeling and seeing things. A lot of stuff's going to open up for you. And you going and telling all the people on social media, your friends, your family, whatever, you going and telling everybody all the things that are coming to you is almost like a slap in the face to your spirit guides. and your team, because they specifically chose you to deliver this message to. Now, if they tell you, get the word out, that's different. But if it's just between you and your team, like, keep it between you and your team, because sometimes we're getting little breadcrumbs of information that we're going to need later. And if we're out here running our mouths, we're spreading the energy all over the place. Less is more sometimes. Less is more. So this mistake, I feel like it really takes the cake, because I didn't realize I was even doing this as I started my journey. I have always been interested in Greek mythology after learning about it in like 6th or 7th grade. I literally even made a quilt in my social studies class. I drew out my visions of what these gods and goddesses looked like and put them all together, and it was very cute, right? I also was obsessed with Artemis. So naturally, when I started to get into the spiritual realm, I'm already interested in learning about Artemis, and I want to build her an altar, and I want to work with her and all of these things. And I used my tarot deck that I didn't really know what I was doing to verify that she in fact wanted to work with me and she was around me. I used my pendulum to ask questions to make sure that she knew who I was. That seemed to be a little bit more legit. So I started to, open up a space for her and start working with Artemis. And I think for me, I didn't have any idea what I was getting myself into. Not to say that Artemis specifically is difficult to work with or anything like that. I'm difficult to work with. It's me. I am the problem. I didn't understand the responsibility of having a deity come show up for you and, this relationship. I didn't know how to establish a relationship. I didn't know how to communicate properly, because again, I was just learning tarot and I didn't have a proper deck to learn on. I was in over my head. And then it didn't start there. I continued to just accumulate these relationships because I thought that that was normal. I didn't realize that taking on the responsibility of forming relationships with multiple deities at a time is damn near impossible, because you don't know what you're doing. I understood better why a lot of spiritual people, witches, will say, hey, hold off on working with deities. Hold off on that. And that's why. It's not necessarily because you're not allowed, they're gatekeeping. It's because it's a lot of responsibility. And you need to figure out how to even connect with spirit in a safe way. Use your discernment to make sure you're speaking to who you think you are. Like, there's a lot of things that you need to work on before you go and start opening up portals, essentially, when you make an altar for a deity. Portals for maybe not who you thought it was to be coming through, and they're hanging out now, welcomed, because you don't know the difference. So that is a huge thing that I think we should talk a little bit more about, because I definitely got myself in a situation where I was overwhelmed, and I was like, honestly, like, I don't know how to stop the floodgate now that I've opened the door, right? Like, it was Pandora's box. I let it all come out and I didn't know how to put it back in. So just be mindful. I think that doing research about different deities is way better suited for beginners than actually trying to reach out to them, work with them, any of that. I feel as though if you start researching deities without the intention of setting up an altar or anything like that, you will naturally start to feel what you're gravitating towards, and you will start to pick up on signs if the deity is also looking to work with you as well. Let it happen naturally is basically what I'm saying. Don't force the relationship. Let it happen naturally, okay? And just start with one and work, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Don't invite 10 to the table all at once. Don't do that to yourself. Don't be me. So, the final mistake that I'm going to share with you about how I started my witchy journey, I constantly was overthinking everything. And it got to the point where I wouldn't do anything unless I pulled out my tarot cards. I learned how to read them by this point, and I would just constantly be asking, like, should I do this? Is it okay to do this? Should I use this? Like, I wouldn't allow my intuition to guide me. I wouldn't allow myself to be open enough to just have the experience and see, if I do this, this, and this, does it work? Did I see anything happen? Because that is you crafting your own magic. I was so afraid of the freedom that I honestly was stagnant and procrastinating, and I'd come up with like these extravagant like spells, and they would just sit in a notebook and they never get done. And it was just like, what are we doing here? So I had to realize that I was afraid of tapping into my own magic. I had to come to that realization that I was holding myself back because I was afraid of allowing myself to explore and see what happens, because then I might have to clean up a mess, and I didn't really want to clean up a mess if I screwed up. But that is how you learn. You literally have to get your hands dirty. You literally have to invest time, effort, practice. It's a practice, a spiritual practice, okay? You have to do that. You have to go through that in order to feel what is right and what is not. Feel when things are working, when they're not. You will figure it out, okay? Have faith in yourself. I have faith in you. I believe in you, shooting stars. You can do this. You can. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Make it fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's a craft, after all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am so excited to be sharing this video with you, because I feel like if I had seen a video like this when I was beginning, I would have saved myself a lot of time. So I am hopeful that you will subscribe and come back and watch some more of my videos. And you can find me on all my other social medias. And happy witchcrafting out there.